Hello, I'm Gus, as you should know by now. Sorry about the fan, it is a scorching 38 degrees today. Welcome summer. Hello summer. It's supposed to be, I was hoping it was going to be a cool day because what I want to talk about today was photography related, so it would have been nice to actually go out and shoot and. It's also why my hair looks like a mess, because it is hot and hot and sweaty and wearing clothes and all those lovely things. I think it was actually like 30 degrees by 11 o'clock this morning in Cape Town, so it is a very, very hot day. Anyway, that's like completely and utterly beside the point. What I wanted to talk about was why I don't use Photoshop for my photos or my editing or my portraiture or pretty much anything. Like I don't like Photoshop at all. I only use Lightroom. So most people use Photoshop for their portraiture and they do like a whole load of retouching and that works really, really well, and some of them look really, really cool. The thing that I find is that more often than not they generally look over processed and they look overdone, and I personally don't like that style. Like, it's not me, and I prefer the natural, this is what people actually look like sort of look. That's like what I try to do. It's just sort of my style, like what I think works, and everybody has their style. The thing for me is that if I'm doing natural light portraiture, I want to try and keep it as natural as possible. Same thing when I'm going into studio. Like I generally try and get most of my work done in camera, so that when it does go to editing, I don't need to over edit, I don't need to over process, I don't need to do a ton of work to them. Look, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of times where I've had to take it into Photoshop. The one instance are these color photos that I did where I was playing with lighting and things, and I used a white backdrop. Now obviously when people are walking on a white backdrop it gets very dirty, and because of the different poses, I'll add the photos in here, you generally see those dirt marks. And yes, Lightroom has the healing brush and all those sort of things, but it doesn't actually work as nicely as Photoshop. So in that instance, I will take it into Photoshop and I will do the touch-ups. If there's a bit of bad acne that the makeup couldn't cover, or they need those sort of things removed, I will do so. If Lightroom can't do it, then I will generally take it into Photoshop, create a new layer and edit it that way. It's just, sometimes these over edits don't really make the person look real. It gives it almost like a fake plastic look, especially if it's overdone. There's 100% of pro retouches that just do amazing work, and I love a couple of them, but for me, my whole goal is to try and capture the person's story, and I'm not doing high fashion photography that's going to go into a magazine and that sort of thing. Like, yeah, one day goal, I've signed up for retouching courses and I'm doing those sort of things, but as it currently stands, my goal at the moment is to capture a person for who they are, and what makes them them. So if they have a mole like right here, I'm not going to remove it. I've seen people do that. They actually go and they remove the mole, and I don't understand why, because that mole is technically part of the person's character, and when you're doing portrait work to try and capture that character, that's generally the goal, right? Like, you want all of them encapsulated in that photo. Yes, there are times where, like I mentioned before, where acne is really, really bad and you remove it because it's just like, yeah, you just have to. There have been cases where I've done it myself, where we did a shoot and unfortunately the skin wasn't perfect and there was a little bit of touching up that I had to do, but more often than not I generally don't go into Photoshop. Even for my landscape street work, I seldom use Photoshop. I think I'm signed up for the photography license subscription thing on Adobe, and I use Photoshop for my design work, like if I want to make a logo or any of those sort of things. Sorry. So that's where I'll use Photoshop. But generally, as a photographer, me and Photoshop only when absolutely, absolutely needed. Yeah, and that is why I don't use Photoshop, because I don't believe that it is a natural representation of a person when you go and dodge and burn and make their skin look super smooth. You sort of lose that humanity. You lose a little bit of who they are in doing that. I have been asked, and this came up once on a shoot that I did, and it was a lovely shoot. I mean, you can look at the photos yourself, and they were really, I liked them. I really liked them. To me, it didn't feel like it needed more work, and I got asked to airbrush it more, and that hurt a little bit, but hey, each their own. And it was something that I had to do. I had to go and do some airbrushing and stuff in Photoshop because they wanted it more airbrushed, and I somewhat feel like it's a bit of a lie, but hey, that's my opinion, my thoughts, and yeah, so that's why I don't use Photoshop. Do you use Photoshop? Don't you use Photoshop? Photoshop? Do you not Photoshop? Anyways, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Sorry that I didn't get to go out. I just wasn't prepared to melt. Like I said, it is currently 38 degrees, and it is 5 to 4. 38 degrees and 5 to 4. Yeah, not gonna happen. I hope you liked the video. I know it was quite brief and a bit wishy-washy, but just give me some time. Like, I'll get better at this as we go, as long as I'm making videos right, and hopefully you guys enjoy them as they get better. Like, yeah. But to see that, you would need to like, subscribe, and keep following me. You know, check me out on Instagram. Check out my portrait work on Instagram. Hope you guys have a rad day. If you're not in Cape Town, I hope it's like nice and cool. If you're in Cape Town, hit the beach like I'm about to do.